Hi everybody, I'm David Simon Toledo. I am with Spoon River Valley Lodge number 427. Welcoming you back to our channel, and I have a very special guest with me, the president himself of Spoon River Valley FOP Lodge 427, Donald Ike Hackett. How you doing?
Great, how you doing? Thanks for coming over.
Oh, thank you for having me over this morning. So, something we've been planning for a little bit.
Yes.
And I know that there's quite a bit we want to get out there as far as our message, as far as topics we'd like to cover, but I think the biggest thing is we need to introduce everybody to the man that put it all together. Could you fill us in a little bit about your background?
I started at the Fulton County Sheriff's Department in 1980 and retired in 2006. Started out as a dispatcher back then, as they were called. I got to work with the very first computer that came into Fulton County.
It's probably bigger than this room.
It was large, but it was, and everything was handwritten. Didn't have the electronics and the technology that they have now. And then I was promoted to deputy and retired as a sergeant. And it was an incredible career. Wouldn't trade it for anything. So. And
congratulations on being retired.
Yes.
I don't think a lot of people understand why that's even said in law enforcement. Most people think, oh, you just make it your career and you retire. That's not the case for a lot of us in this career field at all. Either through some unfortunate event, which is most likely the case, or they just, something happens within them that they can't finish their career. And so for all of you watching, and to understand, if when we see someone who's made it to retirement, we congratulate them, because that's actually a really big deal.
It is.
What other activities do you do or have you done in the past as far as community involvement?
We're involved in our church, the Northwoods Community Church. Have a satellite campus in Canton. We're involved in that. I am involved in a law enforcement motorcycle club called the Blue Knights. I am the Great Lakes Regional Conference chaplain, which covers all of Ontario, Western New York, Western Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, Indiana, and all of Illinois. So it's fun. I get to ride motorcycles and get to hang out with most of them are retired cops.
So what made you want to get into law enforcement at the very beginning?
I think when I grew up, you played cops and robbers, and I thought it would be an exciting career, and something always was in the back of my mind and in my heart, and it happened and came together. And it's actually, I feel that law enforcement is a calling and a passion. If you don't have a passion and you don't feel that it's a calling, then you may want to get a different career path.
One of the big things that I love about this field is that it's an intrinsic reward. It's internal. You're not you shouldn't expect that you're going to be given a meritorious service award every day you're on the job. But when I get home, whenever that happens to be, one of the things that brings me satisfaction is I know that in some way, somehow, to someone, I've made a positive impact. And in your case, over a career, do you feel like you were able to make an impact in your communities that you served?
Yes, I do. I was like you. I wanted to make a positive impact. Sometimes that was not doable, but I always wanted to leave people better than I found them, and would go beyond and try to, if they needed services, you work to get them the proper services. It wasn't you didn't go through a drive-up window.
Right.
You had to get involved in people's lives, and sometimes you comfort them in their worst moment. You wipe the blood off, and you say, hey, everyone needs a helping hand at some point in time, and they need that lift up. And some of my best friends today are people that I had encountered and arrested during my time, and so it's law enforcement.
I can remember a period of time it was, very stoic, very flat, and now it's no, show them who you are, show them that you know them, and it's sort of coming back, which I think is a good thing. I think that was one of the things that was kind of missing for a long time in certain generations of law enforcement. Was this, they forgot, hey, you got to be human, and you got to show the people you're dealing with that you're a person, because they don't want a robot showing up to their call. They want Ike, they want Dave.
And the anti-police movement has done a very good job of dehumanizing law enforcement, and they've taken away our humanity. They've taken away the fact that we are viable parts of the community, that we are mothers, we're fathers, we're grandparents, we have children in school systems, we have children that are in colleges, and we aren't just a pile of flesh. We are human, and we have shortcomings just like everybody else.
And we have desires too. We have
exactly.
We want to see the communities get better. Which, speaking of communities, the state lodges, the FOP state lodges are a community group. People don't know that.
Yes.
The big question I have is, what made you want to start one? It's a monumental undertaking.
I worked with Chris Southwood. He's a trooper, but we'd worked together for many years, and I hadn't seen Chris in many years, and we had the unfortunate line of duty death with Troy Chisholm back in 2019, and we attended his funeral, and I talked to Chris there. We kind of rekindled a friendship, and we spoke occasionally after that, and I said, well, how do we get one started? And he said they tried to start one, and the process was established several years ago here in Fulton County by Chris Darshan, who is now the chief of Farmington. So I reached out to Chris, I talked to him, I said, well, what if we started one that would be countywide and not just singular for Fulton County, and reach out to other agencies? And Chris said, well, you got to have 10 per charter, 10 to start a lodge, and I had 7. There were 7 of us there, and I thought, can we get 3 more? And then he said, well, you need to elect officers, and I was nominated to be the president, and before I could say no, the vote was done and the gavel was slammed, and and then we established our officers that day. Randy Zimmerman, the treasurer, Carl Williams is secretary, Scott DeFord was sergeant arms, and Chris Darshan was the vice president. So then we thought, what do we do now? So October 20th, we had a membership drive meeting in Canton, and there was 30 or 35 people there. We gained 26 more people there, so we got our charter, and we reached out to some other agencies, and I got a text message and said, do you know Sergeant Amanda Onken at Mason County? And I said, nope, don't know Amanda Onken. And then I kept thinking about the name, and I thought, well, that's Mandy, who used to be my neighbor. And so I reached out to Amanda, and she got all of you guys on board. And Mason City, she reached out to Menard County, and then we've grown to what we are now. We are at 20 agencies and have 142 members. So
it's amazing.
It is amazing, and it's 3 months after we got our charter, and we're still trying to walk through the FOP.
Was there anything that you saw as far as community services that was sort of lacking in the area that the FOP State Lodge could say, yeah, we can fit that, and we can fit that, and we can fit that?
Our biggest goal is taking care of those who are members of the FOP Lodge. Our main goal is taking care of the needs that are identified to us from the membership, and not only the actual members, but also their families. We have one of our members' son was recently diagnosed with a mild form of cerebral palsy. He's going to Easter Seals for treatment, and Easter Seals happens to be the largest fundraising recipient of the National FOP Lodge, and so we made a decision that we would come on board with the Central Illinois Easter Seals based in Peoria, and we got some fundraising concepts that will be discussed at our April 21st membership meeting in Havana, and we also will discuss some other options at next week's April 7th executive board meeting. So, and there are other needs there. We have one of our members' wife was recently diagnosed with breast cancer. We reached out to him and provided some assistance there, and another member's wife is a double lung recipient. They had some needs. We helped. We assisted them in some of the needs that they had. So
really what it is, you know, the lodges do what the goal is, which is to help.
Yes.
To aid. To provide assistance, be it some financial assistance to kind of ease the burden, or resources to help someone overcome either a tragedy or an ailment, something so that they can sort of return to normalcy.
One of my goals, or our goal as a lodge, is to meet the needs, and if we have a need in the community, we want to be aware of it. We are going to get together and help paint the gazebo at Porter Park here in Lewis now for the bicentennial celebration. That I don't know the exact date yet, but if you have needs in Havana or Mason County or Cass County, Menard County or Farmington or Rushville or Elmwood or wherever the case may be, we will be willing to come alongside and to help do that. But our biggest goal is taking care of the membership that we have. And that's the greatest thing about becoming a part of the Illinois State Lodge, is that we have thousands of other members that we become a big family, and if another lodge has a need, then we are going to be more than willing to assist in their needs. Any first responder is going to have some form of PTSD. I don't care who you are. I don't care how short a time that you've been in law enforcement. And we have to, in law enforcement, get over the stigma that at some point in time, everyone is going to need some help. And the help in the law enforcement has the highest suicide rate that there is. And it would break my heart to get a phone call and to hear of one of our members that was become so overwhelmed with life that they have to make the decision to end their own life. And I would never want to get that call, and we will want to do everything that we can to reach out and provide. You know, FOP has a state hotline. It's manned 24 hours a day. We will do whatever we can to help someone get through a very difficult moment in their life.
Let's shift to something a little more positive.
Sure. Rainbows and unicorns.
Rainbows and unicorns and cookies for everybody.
There you go.
You know what? And fantastic coffee. Guys, I'm telling you right now, for the most part, 90% of cops can make a decent cup of coffee until they sit in a certain particular chair, and then for whatever reason, the coffee making skills kind of take a dive. Just putting that out there.
I drink coffee. I don't drink tea. The stronger the better.
You know what? There's something about patrol. You'll learn to make a good cup of coffee. You learn to make a darn good pot of coffee.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, do you catch all sorts of hell for weeks.
Exactly.
You know, I could still remember one particular prank. The guy's ticket book ended up being full of those, you know, when you use a 3-hole puncher, those little circles of paper.
Yeah.
They emptied the tray into his ticket book.
And they've been emptied elsewhere also.
Yeah.
It's my understanding that the current state president, Chris Southwood, was a recipient of a prank to where there may allegedly the paper puncher was emptied into the vents of the squad car, and he got, every time he turned a vent on, he got confetti. You know, that's that rumor. I'm not sure if that's valid or not.
I've got a story that goes along with that. I don't know if it's video appropriate, but it basically involves stink-baked cotton balls and the air conditioner of a squad car.
And worse.
Yeah. So we learned very quick, you don't pull a prank on Jack unless you're ready to have it pulled back on you.
There is always karma and payback.
All right. Let's talk about some of the plans for the lodge that you have. You've talked about the scholarships, I know is one of the goals. A monumental financial undertaking. I've been part of a scholarship committee before. That's not just weeks, months. That could almost be a year of planning and putting it together to get a scholarship fund going. Now, this is something that we offer to families of members for now, correct?
Yes.
Is it eventually going to be something like, once we get that fund big enough that we can open it up to people, let's say, going to the local community college? Hey, do you need financial assistance? And they could apply.
Honestly, we've not discussed that. We are a fledgling group right now, and we're learning the waters. But the great thing about the FOP, if you're a member, FOP offers free college, junior college, and now there are some baccalaureate, 2 or 3 baccalaureate courses where you can get for free. It's all online, so if you're a member, it is available to family members, your spouses, children,
and I mean,
in-laws and outlaws. As long as you're a family member, you're eligible.
And knowledge is one of the most powerful things in this world. You know, you can't take away someone's education.
True.
That is the most important thing. And I don't care what that education comes through. It doesn't matter if it's collegiate, tech training, trade school, military. You can't take that away from someone.
Exactly.
Once they have that, that is forever. And I'm a big push on that. You know, that it's so important to get young people prepared to enter this world and make a difference. And the easiest way to do that, get them some type of education. So having that financial resource is a big deal. And again, folks, I can't stress this enough to those of you watching. It takes a lot to make this happen. So good on us for at least getting the ball rolling on it. I mean, that's a big deal.
You know, with 142 members, that if we all get moving in the right direction, we can do what seems to be virtually impossible. And our executive board is phenomenal. Everybody is willing to step up to the plate and help. Andy Steck from Farmington is heading up our golf outing this year, June 12th at Weematech, and likes to golf. Get a hold of us, and we will be more than willing to have you.
Even if you don't like to golf, get a hold of them.
Participate. We're looking for whole sponsors also, and we're going to vote at the next executive board meeting about raffling off a Henry Golden Boy Law Enforcement commemorative model of the 22 lever action. The proceeds from that will go to Central Illinois Easter Seals, so you may be head up to purchase tickets. We haven't set the ticket price yet. We'll make all that determination next Wednesday at our executive board meeting, but we have a lot of things in the works. I know that some people are talking about reaching out to some nursing homes or assisted living facilities to provide things for this Christmas. We will once again be delivering Christmas meals to our participating agencies in December. We did that last year, and I think it was a very big hit. We did that before we even formed as a lodge, but
I do remember that. That was rather impressive. For those watching, you have no idea the impact it makes on any group to actually have a hot meal served when you're used to maybe a cold sandwich. And the nursing home project is absolutely amazing because oftentimes the people in the nursing homes, either they don't have family anymore, which is rather unfortunate, but a sad fact of life. And so even just visiting them, take away the fact that they're going to be getting a gift. The visit makes their month. It really does lift their spirits, and then they, on top of that, get something that makes them more comfortable. Is just a huge show of love.
It's my understanding that we're going to reach out to one or two facilities at this time to see how it goes before we take it lodge-wise, because it would be a monumental task.
It would be.
We have a couple of people that are on the committee that are outstanding, hardworking, and everybody that has stepped up to serve on some form of committee within our lodge gave it their all, and it makes you proud. I'm not a micromanager, but I will support whatever we decide to do as a lodge, as well as the executive board is phenomenal. We again have trustees from every participating agency, and so it's great.
Now, one of the things that we touched on briefly, not just crisis outreach, but also disaster relief. I know that the state lodge, the big state lodge, does a lot of that. You mentioned in the past, we're gearing up to provide assistance as well. For those that don't know, common in this area is flooding. We have the Illinois River, Spoon River, Sangamon River, all through this area, so flooding is common. We're in the heart of Tornado Alley. And so natural disasters are very common in central Illinois.
Very. If there is a need, if a disaster arises, we understand that our law enforcement personnel don't get to take the time off work. If it comes to our attention, I would immediately reach out to the state lodge. They have a disaster response unit. They have a trailer. They have a larger network than we do, and we would coordinate with them to bring in their team, and we would step up and provide the assistance that is needed. We would assess, provide the assistance and take care of the families while the first responders have to go to work every day. And usually in a natural disaster, they're long, tiring days. I worked the Lewistown tornado of '95, and it was, thank God it missed Lewistown, but it was devastating for some farms and that. So there's a lot to take in a natural disaster.
It is. It's let alone the operations going on
behind the scenes,
especially immediately after tornado. I remember each and every one that I've worked so far, and the amount of resources, fire departments, EMS personnel.
Yes.
You're coordinating with Red Cross. You're shutting down roads. You're calling in people. You're setting up shifts, and not only is it physically taxing, it is mentally taxing. And you're now add on top of that grieving families, people who are in a state of panic. So any type of help is always welcome.
Exactly.
And the old phrase, it takes a village to raise a child. In my mind, it takes a community to help a community. It really does. And the fact that we're a part of that aid, is a big deal. And it's something that is needed.
It is needed.
Now more than ever. So that is fantastic. And it's why I'm proud to be a part of this group. I really
and God forbid that there would ever be a line of duty death, or we would also step up and provide assistance in that. I don't ever want to get that call, but
well, even now as an administrator, I wouldn't want a first line administration anyway. I would not want to get that phone call.
No.
Bad enough that the probability of it happening while you're on shift.
Exactly.
But still, it's something that none of us ever really want to have happen. We train for these kinds of things, but it's one of those where you plan for the worst, but you always hope for the best. And that's just one of those things. Yeah, because and even in that case, the grieving family, that's the first thing you're looking at taking care of this.
Exactly.
How can we help this family?
Yeah.
The best we can given the circumstance.
And sometimes it's just going and being there and listening. It's not saying anything. It's just, I'm a certified police chaplain, and they call it the ministry of presence. Sometimes you're just there.
Yeah.
And to provide that shoulder to lean on, to help wipe away the tears, and just be there and listen and provide the comfort that is needed.
It's a huge relief.
It is.
It is a huge relief, and again, to be a part of something like that is fantastic. I encourage anybody watching, even if you're not part of a labor council, consider joining a state lodge.
Exactly.
You don't have to. This is one of the other myths I found, but I was going to bring it up with Chris Southwood. Spoiler, going to meet with him. Which is, you don't have to be a member of the FOP Labor Council to be a part of the FOP Lodge. You just have to be active in law enforcement. And now, well, for now, it's still defined. What the state defines as a member of law enforcement, but we have dispatch, ordnance officers, corrections, patrol. I mean, the list goes on. And so, everybody watching, this is something that is very worthwhile. I can't stress that enough.
And if you remember the FOP Lodge, make sure that you purchase legal defense. You can be in the FOP Labor Council. You cannot get it just by being a member of the FOP Labor Council. You have to be an FOP member. You have to go on the national website to purchase your legal defense. You need the legal defense. If you're working today, I could not imagine strapping on the armor and the uniform and a gun without having FOP legal defense. And that's, FOP has been very easy to recruit people for because it's law enforcement taking care of law enforcement. It's not attorneys dictating the policies, and I can assure you that it goes from top to bottom in the state of Illinois. With the people in Springfield with the state lodge have just been absolutely phenomenal to work with. Chris, our trustee, Jerry Lieb, he's incredible. The chairman of the Illinois FOP trustees, Terry, is True Blood is incredible. I mean, everybody down there, the secretaries, everybody bends over backwards to help meet any need that is brought to their attention.
What is one of the biggest things we can do as a lodge to help improve the lives of those around us?
I think that the needs have to be brought to us, and when we identify the need, we will do what we can to meet that need, whether it's financial, emotional, we'll do what we can do. And it's our goal to help to leave those in law enforcement in better shape than when we found them.
That's absolutely true. I think anybody who's ever had been in a supervisory role, when they leave, they want to make sure that this department is in way better shape than what I found it in, and the next guy coming into my spot can just as easily do the job. If you could give any recruit, somebody who's out of the academy, or even someone who's looking to get into law enforcement, some advice, any advice, what would it be?
It's a difficult job. It's not an easy job. It's going to be long hours, but it's an extremely rewarding career. You get out of it what you put in it. The friendships that you develop. I would encourage the young guys to have the camaraderie, the after shift, the working out at the gyms together, being involved with families, do things, and it helps alleviate the stress. It's a very stressful job. We are doing our best to show that we are not them. We are not these people that the media is putting on blast, and rightfully so, for certain actions that represent themselves. We are the ones who are going out here doing our jobs day to day without bias, without prejudice, without any kind of hatred in our hearts, looking to make a difference somehow, some way. And I think
the big thing that is appealing to me about this lodge is that we're perpetuating that message that we are the good ones that you see, that you don't always see behind the scenes, going out there and doing what needs to be done.
And, when no one, as we alluded to earlier, no one will condone bad activity by a police officer. And we will never, again, condone bad behavior. We will speak out against it when we have to speak out. We will never apologize, provide a blanket apology for the wrongdoings that have happened in law enforcement, because that in itself will be used against law enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
Each case, each bad case has to be dealt with on the merits of the case.
Exactly.
Law enforcement officers have to be afforded the due process that everyone else has, and if they're bad, they're bad.
Right.
We're not gonna candy coat it. We're not
Exactly.
gonna say,
We're gonna call it like it is.
We just want the truth.
Exactly.
Truth is a scarce commodity today.
But you know what? The truth is objective, and it doesn't play nice. And if we've talked about it. Chris and I have talked about it. Someone's in the wrong, and the truth comes out. You know what? It's going to paint them however they acted at that time, and they need to be held accountable for that. Just because a person wears a badge doesn't mean they're afforded the right to do wrong at all.
True.
And, we will hold the bad guys responsible.
Absolutely.
But we will also elevate the guys who are doing the right thing by bringing that to the forefront. We will help show, hey, this person did report. At least commend them for having the bravery to break that stigma of keep quiet.
And the legislators have been asked to provide particular incidents, specific incidents of what they label everyone as being systemically racist. It's a wide brush. It's a big brush.
It is. It's huge. It's a roller.
And we have to stand against the label of being systemically racist. We are not. It's a false narrative that they spin, and they spin. They're very astute at spinning that narrative, and we have to overcome the stigma that every police officer. I was born white. I can't go back and change that. You come from a Latino background.
Mm-hmm.
You can't change that, and our African American brothers and sisters can't change that. But we have to work together. Law enforcement knows better than anyone what some of the issues are that we face.
That's true.
And we are more than willing to address the issues that need to be addressed. And when I was a supervisor, when we came in to do our shift work, we didn't draw a name out of a hat to see who we were going to go out and shoot that day. I mean, no one in their right mind ever wants to be the one that has to pull the trigger.
I don't think anybody wants to make that choice. I don't know of anybody in this career field that has ever even looked forward to something like that. And if they did, they didn't need to be in it.
Exactly.
The guys that I have worked with, the men and women who I have worked with over my almost 12-year career at this point, you know what we look forward to, Ike, in our shift? Someone that knew how to make a decent cup of coffee, a hot meal, people getting along. So for any young person getting out there looking to do this, the voice of experience here is telling you what you need to do. And I may not be anywhere near as experienced as you, but I'm telling you, look forward to the little things and appreciate the little things. And I think the big thing that I would say is don't be afraid to get out of your car. That for a long time was a no-no. I don't know where that came from, but get out, talk to people, go play some games with some kids that are out there.
Know the community that you serve, and each community is going to be different.
Mm-hmm.
And each community is going to have neighborhoods that may be deemed to be less desirable than the others, but
there's still people there.
It's still your community.
Yeah, and there's going to be future videos kind of discussing that. That we'll really get into what it takes to develop trust in communities.
Law enforcement are the sheepdogs that keep the wolves at bay, and the wolves are getting more prevalent, and the wolves are getting bigger, but we still have to draw the line and hold the line.
One of the common things is that the wolf will disguise itself as a sheep.
Yeah.
More than ever. All right, and in closing, something I would like to do, and very often, is discuss some decent tips. And the biggest one I can think of is, folks, as summertime is rolling around, for you young officers looking to get into this career, don't buy into the tactical shorts. For the love of God, don't do it. All they ever show is how long your winter really was. Don't do it. It's a lot more hassle than it's worth.
Yep.
Ike, thanks for joining me.
Thank you. I appreciate what you're doing with the social media aspect.
Not a problem. And guys, look forward to seeing him more on YouTube, on our channel, giving us updates on upcoming bills, things that may not necessarily be hitting the news channels as often. This is important. After all, knowledge is very important. Knowledge is very powerful. As always, like I like to end these videos, the most important thing is, please, be good to one another, be safe, and for all the power that is out there, try and make somebody happy.
Amen.
Thanks a lot, buddy.
Thank you, man.
Appreciate it, man.
Appreciate it.